Now, recently in mid-December 2024, registered private primary schools in Botswana addressed a letter to the Ministry of Child Welfare and Basic Education expressing concerns over the rapid increase of unregulated tuition centers. Now, these institutions are criticized for operating without proper registration, employing unqualified teachers and providing substandard learning environments, and thereby undermining the quality of education in the country. So in studio, I'm joined by Ms. Ndiko Muzila, the visionary founder and CEO of Dawn Bell Academy and Dawn Training Institute, to explore the evolving dynamics of Botswana's education sector, focusing on unregulated growth of tuition centers and their impact on education quality. Absolutely. Of course, we want to bring it to context, like we say, amid this concern that was expressed mid-December last year. What are your thoughts on the issue, and how do you believe that this impacts the education sector in our country, Botswana, and one of which we still desire to keep on growing, of course?
I think I'm just going to give you a background information on what is happening, because I think a lot of us don't have a true picture of what is happening in the education system of Botswana. Me coming from Dawn Bell Academy, something that is completely different from the normal traditional schools, that has a similarity with what I call tuition schools. I'm here to say Dawn Bell Academy is not a tuition school, but it offers tutorial services for part-time students. So we mean that a qualified personnel like Ndiko offering formal education to a learner full-time in a homely environment or an intimate learning environment. So it's a concept that I pioneered, having observed the gaps that were existing in the education system of Botswana, because we have a lot of children who sometimes, most of them who go to private schools, that at most times fail there, and then maybe they are forced to register as private candidates. That's where Dawn Bell came in to say, okay, when they are expelled or they are forced to repeat, we receive the students whose parents are not able to pay again that the child should repeat standard 6 so that they can get, maybe the child is getting a C or a D. In most private schools, such children are encouraged to repeat or register as private candidates. Those are the gaps that I discovered. Again, in secondary schools, there are those students who don't do well in certain private schools and then they're expelled. Or in the process, a normal Botswana parent loses their job and then the child is out of a private school. You can't take that child who has been doing IGCSE to Nanohang. So that's when Dawn Bell came in, bridging the gap. And this idea, I pioneered it. I think it's an idea that I've always had when I was a child. It was birthed by me offering free tutorial services back then when I was still a child. So I realized that, the normal classroom setup doesn't cater for every learner. So I sold the idea and I was allowed to pioneer it so that in case it produces results, when it produces results, then we could sit down again with the Ministry of Education and formulate regulations. Then Ndiko started. So when I started it, it grew. Going back to the ministry, the people who are assisting are no longer there. Lack of continuity in government offices. Basically, that's why we had an institution like Dawn Bell being there, and we kept on saying, let there be regulations, and then there are no regulations. And later when people came, because some used to think that we as well operate illegally, only to realize that we have an official writing from the Ministry of Education that allowed us to pioneer the idea. Now, other young Botswana, seeing the impact of what this concept is doing, copied it. And I'm not going to say they don't produce results, because the truth is that some of them, or most of them, genuinely do produce results. I'm here, I'm going to speak as a neutral voice, because, the education system of Botswana, I wouldn't say it's under an attack. I'll say it's challenged, because both private schools, normal private schools and tuition schools will find that there are those that don't have qualifications. There are private schools that don't employ people with qualifications. And there are tuition schools that do employ people with qualifications. So what I can say is that let's regulate what they call tuition schools, but I call it professional homeschooling because basically that's the concept I pioneered, that formal education can take place in a homely environment, because this whole concept has got a lot of advantages that Botswana have started to discover. Right now in Donbell, I'm assisting about 2,000 children annually. That should tell you this concept is working. And there are other Botswana who are taking their children to those tuition schools because ukubilo ko sekolong sengwe kana motsadi o heletswe ke madi ha ke ka mo isa ko JCE. These are two different curriculums, so they need to be regulated. Yes.
Well, but speaking of which, that they need to be regulated, of course, Muzila, where is the step being missed there? Who is also missing the step? I mean, we can see that there is that gap. Somebody is not doing something right. What should these mushrooming tuition schools do? Where should they go? What is the step that they're missing? Or is it a process that they're missing somewhere there? Or is it the ministry that's missing something there?
It's the ministry that is missing something there. It's the government that is failing us. If we have an institution like Donbell that started legally and then you go back to the offices as there's nobody who is there to help you because there's no continuity, then definitely these tuition schools, there's nowhere they can go to because there are no regulations. So the Ministry of Education need to call Donbell Academy, sit down. We allowed you years ago. It was an office that allowed Donbell Academy. It's not a person. I think that's the challenge that we have in Botswana, that we personalize things. This is a huge project that is producing results that are tangible. So you come in and say, we missed the step as the ministry because we are supposed to have continued this concept and came up with regulations, because even Donbell is still saying, regulate us. We are here, we have been on the ground, we do have experience, we know what is happening, and that is the reason why we actually started, that we pioneer it. We have pioneered, it has been years now, it's 12 years of operation and producing results. So the Ministry of Education is the one that is missing a step. They should call us and then we will help them from our experience to come up with the regulations. Because where we are, we can't say we can close those tuition schools. You can't close them. Because if you close them, right now these tuition schools are decongesting government schools. Because the target market for these tuition schools are for an ordinary Motswana who affords their school fees. And as they are accommodating the students are decongesting government schools. Because if you close them, these same children are going to Matlala where there are 60 or 40 students in a class.
Right. Now, let's also speak about the dangers that are there. We are taking our kids to schools that are not regulated, or there's nothing really to show that the ministry knows us, the ministry knows that we are in operation. What are the dangers that even parents face, or the children themselves, they're endangered of? What are those that we can speak of? Because we're speaking of a place that we're taking our children, and we entrust those people with the livelihoods of those children, not just the education part, but while they're there, it's just wholly the livelihood of the children.
There are many dangers to that, because firstly, nowadays everybody can just wake up and say, okay, I'm running a tuition school, or whatever they call them, tuition school, tuition center, with no qualifications, and then they bring in this as they noted, Form 5 students to come in and teach. So those are the dangers that we face, that we have people who are not qualified, who are not trained to assist the learners, who are not qualified to help or to assist or to train the learners. But I think what is causing that, again, it goes back to the issue of no regulations, because even when these tuition centers, some of them have gone to the ministry and they've always been told we don't regulate this. So I think it's high time we regulate, where we come to a point where we say we need a qualified educator to operate this. We need somebody with a teaching qualification and a permission to teach. Like in Donbell, all our teachers are qualified. because they used to check on us a lot. People will be reporting and say, we saw people operating in a home there, and they come and they find that paper, that document that was long written to say, we allow you to start this. So I think it's high time we just come up with measures, because even right now, we can't say, no, yole hasene, yole gen. Because everybody wakes up, and some of them, what they produce are their qualifications, because some genuinely, as I said, they are qualified teachers. So if you see somebody who's a teacher and they've got their qualifications there, and they are saying, okay, come bring your child, let me homeschool them. It's high time that Botswana does something about the homeschooling thing, because in South Africa, homeschool is actually legal and it's recognized to say, okay, you come to the Ministry of Education and you register that my child is homeschooled in this center, or my child is homeschooled from my home, or my child attends this certain tuition center. So I think for me, I'm still going to go back to say the only answer is to regulate this, because I'm not going to stand here to say, Bazadi, be careful about those tuition centers, like I'm here to destroy other young Botswana's businesses. They copied my concept. Genuinely so, because some of them didn't even know that I pioneered this in consultation with the Ministry of Education. So I'm not going to hotaha ebekeba senya. Because when I stand here and I tell parents, no, it's dangerous. Of course it's dangerous that people are there and they are not regulated, right? But if I come here and I speak like criticize at hata, but I'm here as well, Jaka Monana, yo semolo tsenselo. Say long banana babango basekopile from their good hearts, from lack of employment that is there. So I stand here to speak as a voice of the voiceless, to say that qualified teachers who are running some of these tuition centers that I know, but they only need regulations.
Right.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Because the truth be told, even that write-up, some of the things were exaggerated. Yes, because now this is the education sector. There's a competition. Because the truth is that if parents can take out their children from a private school and take them to a home, then there's something that they're doing right. So we cannot just say, no, let them... Because this approach to education produces results.
Absolutely.
We need to receive and accept that times have changed and just regulate. Permission to teach. So I always did that. Now when you go to Donbell, I have a lot of young people with masters in education. They are trained to deal with students. But we are still doing it in a homely environment. And it's producing results for 12 years now. And it keeps on growing because the concept works. Yes.
Now, still speaking of this regulation that is quite needed, let's also align it with Botepco. What are your relationships? What is your relationship there with Botepco? Do you have one, or what are your intentions in the future? What has been maybe your topic of conversations there in the 12 years, or what has been the trail, if there is one?
Basically, we need those people to accommodate us. I think for me, for the longest time, we were isolated. People were fighting to close than to accept us. So for the longest time, we were more like, well, a threat to the private schools and therefore viewed as illegal. Until when people come into the office, that's when they realize, hey, these people... Salibali telwa to pioneer this, and Saliba emahoneho, but the thing continues to grow because you can't come and say no, shut down Donbell. And I'll tell you, people many people have always come and sent even from the Ministry of Education, hey, go and close that illegal thing, and they come there and they realize that I'm here to say we are willing, because now the teaching council is there. It just got formed, and I'm glad that they've been moving around. They've addressed some of the tuition centers, but I'm willing and I'm still waiting for them to address some of us, because there's a difference between a tuition center and a private, and a professional homeschooling. Because tuition or tutorial simply means extra lessons. So there is a tutorial center and there is a professional homeschooling. Right. Professional homeschooling simply means this child puts on a proper uniform and they come to a home for formal education. And that's why we say it's professional, because now they are meeting a professional in this homely environment. Mm-hmm. But a tuition center is when a child goes to a certain school and they come to me for extra lessons. And we confuse these words because we use it interchangeably.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. Now, in a more relaxed tone now, let's talk also about you, Dawn Bell Academy. How do you implement, how do you make sure that you support your teachers? What are those strategies that you have in place? How do you enhance skills and to ensure that delivery is actually quality and really well done?
Wow, thank you so very much for that question. I think if there's something that I am proud of is that Dawn Bell Academy has got one of the best systems ever that are designed to both support the learner and support the educator. If you meet a teacher in Dawn Bell who joined Dawn Bell 2 years ago, they will tell you they are no longer the same. We believe in professional development. We believe in personal development. So there are programs that we have in place that, okay, if you join us maybe with a diploma, we can even take you for further studies. If you come with a degree, we can take you for a master's degree. And I'll tell you, Dawn Bell is one of the institutions that invest in training. I'm just from an educators conference yesterday. Mm-hmm. Yes, so we gather, we pay and ensure that the whole day our teachers are taught. This is how we address students, this is how we deal with parents. So these are trained people and we do it termly to ensure that they master the delivery. And with us now at Dawn Bell, now that I have Dawn Training Institute, where I'm offering some short courses, professional development courses, special education had to be one of them. And now everybody at Dawn Bell has got special education. Basics of special education, right, because we're dealing with students. So we have programs that are supporting, not just supporting them academically, but I have a program for 3 years to say in 3 years, if you joined me in 3 years, you should at least, if you came in walking, at least you should be driving. At least you should be having a plot. If you came in driving, at least you should be having a house. So all those things, when you focus not just on what these people should do for the institution, you as well look at their lives to say, okay, this is what I want you to as well achieve for your life. This is what we desire to see you achieving with your life. Mm-hmm. That alone makes the teacher to produce results.
Amazing.
Yes.
That's commendable work right there, Memuzila.
Thank you.
Now, in the last minute that we have, I'd like for you to share your long-term vision with Dawn Bell Academy and the Dawn Training Institute as well, and how you aim or you wish to contribute towards the education sector in Botswana, because as we speak, you're one of those that are really significantly and the prominent figures when we speak of education in the private sector. So what are your plans for your institutions and as well as the education sector in Botswana?
Thank you so very much for that question. I dream of having so many, I'll say, boarding schools, because we don't have much of those. You know, an educator is somebody who spends most of their time with the child than the parent. And I'll tell you, with the generation that we live in, parenting has become difficult. It is us, the educators, who can transform the students. That's why at Dawn Bell we focus much on training the educator, because so I'm looking forward to having boarding schools and even a disciplinary camp where, okay, when a child is misbehaving, because I think one of the things that I'm called for is dealing with a child. You bring a child who is addicted to drugs, they'll be transformed in a few weeks. So I believe that, well, that's what I'm aiming at, that maybe in the next 3 years or so, I should be having maybe the very first boarding school from Dawn Bell Academy that can assist some of the students, because our services are needed all over. Now, I cannot be in every region at the same time. So maybe some of those students will have to come and be part of those boarding schools. Now with DTI, is all about professional development, and basically, that one was an extension or birthed by what I do at Don Bell. And then when people saw the excellence, the leadership style, the things that I do with team building, I started being invited all over, come and train outside. But for me, I always look for an opportunity in everything. So if I trained these teachers and they did well. I trained those ones for team building and they did well. Customer service. So I designed courses for DTI. And I'm looking forward to seeing one of the courses that I introduced actually is mind education. And that one I've been giving to even some of the organizations for free, because I believe that for us to go far as a nation, some things have to do with conceptions. Yes. Even this whole idea of, okay, homeschooling versus conventional, these are concepts. And I'll tell you, these two have got, both have got advantages and disadvantages. So I'm looking forward to training more, especially professionals, because professionalism is lacking in Botswana, beginning with government offices. So I'm looking forward to not partnering with the government, but serving, because I believe in serving and assisting a few, and even assisting some of our teachers in the government sector. Go DTI, it could be for free, just to give to the nation, because I believe with professionalism we can achieve a lot.
Absolutely.
Yes, thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Mamuzila, for your time and of course for your expertise and your contribution towards the education sector. And of course, congratulations also for the awards we saw you receiving last year. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma.